just bought the 900 and they need some settings, or they want to try some settings out, send these settings over, get them to give it a try, and I'd love to have a bit of feedback how you get on in the field. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Right, I was going to go through my settings now on the Equinox 900. Very similar to my 800 settings, but obviously there's a few tweaks there. And also I want to do the settings again for people that haven't had the 800 and I've gone straight to the 900 that wouldn't know about the settings. So here's the settings. These will do you well on all 90% of your searching, probably more than that. And all you've got to learn is the little tweaks to suit the field. I can't tell you exactly what that will be because obviously it changes from field to field, but your main tweaks will be your recovery speed, your iron bias, and your sensitivity. They're the main things that you'd have to adjust. Maybe your grain balance sometimes, depending on the grain conditions, but let's go through the settings. The 900 fires up a lot faster, so the processors are a lot faster than the 800. Put the screen on for you, so you can see it nice and clear. Okay then, so I was doing a bit of testing in the garden. On the 800, my settings would be, which I'll just show you now, in the accept and reject by using the cog button to go across. Just number 1. So you go up to number 1. I could bring that back in if I wanted. So it would mean from -18 to 0 is iron, and from 1 all the way around is a good target. But from the testing I've done in the field, in the garden, I found that coke was coming in at 1. So I could eliminate the first segment of number 1 on the target ID. Hopefully eliminate coke only. You might still lose some tiny little specks of non-ferrous targets, but you're losing less on the 900 than you are on the 800. So I'm feeling quite confident at the minute. This might change, but I'm going to eliminate 1. That's how you do it, but we'll get to that in a minute. Start from the left and work our way across. Okay, so your noise cancel. You do that when you're in the field. You can adjust it manually with a plus and minus button until you find a stable channel, or you can just push, the tick and the cross, accept and reject button. And that should run a lot more stable if you're getting any EMI off other machines, etc. Okay, so that's noise cancel. Ground balance, I would leave that at 0 for most of your searching, unless the machine was playing up due to mineralisation, and then you could do a ground balance. But generally leave it at 0. If another time I'd change it is if I was on a field that was quite productive, I'd run it in 0. I'd grid the area, completely try and empty it of targets with all different settings, and then I will start playing with the ground balance to see if I can punch a little bit deeper, or etc, etc. Just try and wiggle out a few more targets. So that's ground balance. You can do it manually by pumping the cool. That's the way I like to do it. And as you pump the cool, you can tell by the tone, you just want to balance it out. I'll do another video on that. Okay, so that's ground balance. The volume, so the volume at 25, you hold down the cog button, and that'll take you with a line underneath to the expert settings, the settings within settings. So tone 1, we've got that. I used to run that at low, I don't know, so it was just audible, so the iron didn't jump out. But this is a thing that we've been trying, going to start trying. So I'll have that 25, and all the other 4 tones. This is set on a 5-tone program. All the other tones as well set at 25. I know a lot of people have said, oh, I can't get it to do what you're doing here, Sid, off my other settings. So the way you get it to make sure that you've got the 5 tones, you go across to target tones and make sure you've got a number 5 there, not a 2, not a 1. You've got all tones, and you've got the pitch. So push the minus to get it to 5 tone, and then when you go through my settings, it will make sense. So the volume. So we put on, I'll do a recap after a fast one so you can understand it easier. So we've gone into volume, we've put that on 25, we've held a finger on the cog, push the tick and the cross, accept and eject button, and we've made all the other ones at 25 also, just by using plus and minus button. Okay, threshold. If you want to use threshold, there's not much point with the Equinoxes, but you can have the threshold in the background if you want. If you're not using the horseshoe, you have the threshold on in the background, and when the threshold, if it's going ooh, to notify you that you're going over iron, that humming noise will break up when you're going over an iron target. So it's a bit of an indicator that there's iron in the ground. That's if you're not got the horseshoe on. So that means you can hear iron, push the horseshoe, you won't hear any iron. So then you use your threshold. Instead of having a burr, 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 iron tone, you could use the threshold pitch. So as it goes over iron, it breaks up like I just mentioned. So that's your threshold. You can have the volume at whatever suits your ears. And I would recommend having the pitch of the tone as 1. Like I said earlier, 5 tone you want. Hold down the cog to go into the expert. And now you can adjust the pitch of the tones for 5 different tones. So tone 1, pitch of 1. Sounds like an iron tone. As you go up with the plus button, you can hear the pitch change. But I'd say have the iron on a 1, so all the other signals, if you're going over an iron area, you're getting the grunts. If you have the next signal a bit higher than the iron, so it stands out enough, you can then, obviously your signal will stand out from the iron a bit better. So tone 1, pitch of 1. Push the accept and reject tick and cross button. Tone 2, pitch of 10. So that's a high enough pitch for it to sound different from the iron. The next one's a bit more of a jump. So then this will also indicate, for, I think it's 1 to 15, 16. That will indicate you're getting small targets. So when you get that little tone of a pitch of 10, you've got a good idea it's going to be something small. It's just information in your ears as you're metal detecting. Pitch, so tone 1, tone 2, tone 3, bigger segment here. And that's a pitch of 17, so it goes from 10 up to 17. So that's a higher pitch, stands out quite a lot. I'll have it, so you've got iron tone, if you have the iron tone on. So you've got a low tone for iron, a mid-tone for small targets, and these 3, there's not much difference between them. They just come a bit sharper for the biggest targets. The way I detect is anything that's discriminated from below up to 1, you ignore. Anything else, especially on prime sites, these low numbers can really throw up some goodies. So don't ignore the like 2s, 3s, 4s if you're on really good land. Small golds, small bits of Roman artifacts, etc., etc. Just it's not worth leaving the small targets. Tone 4 of 21 and tone 5 25. As I said, I'll go through all these really quick for you. So I'll go from left to right in a minute without waffling, so you can just write it all down nice and easy. Okay, so now we go over to accept and reject. Okay, so this is what I've done here. Can you see it's flashing? That's tone 1 flashing. I can bring that in, look. That means from below 0 all the way up to 0. So minus 18 or whatever it goes down to 0 is iron. But I want number 1 to sound like iron as well. So I'll go on to the number 1 and make that, and take that out. So that now becomes an iron tone. Go away, go away. Bloody animals. Never work with animals. Yeah, okay then, so I've took out number 1, so anything that's not highlighted, like all this black, is now become part of tone 1. Cog button down, go into expert. And we also, if that's up there, you're conflicting against you're conflicting against the discrimination with your tones. To match what you've just set as discrimination. So 1. Yeah, so tone 1 now finishes there. Tone 2, I can set where I want the tone 2 tone break to finish with the pitch of 10. I could have it up there if I wanted. But no, we can have that tone break there. The next tone break is at 50. Next tone break, 82. This might slightly change the more I get used to the 900. But at the minute, I think this is going to work fine. And then the 5th tone will automatically go from 82 across. You can't actually adjust that because you've done it with this one. Okay, so we'll quickly go through them again. Tone 1, tone break of 1. Tone 2, a tone break from 1 up to 16. Tone 3 is from 16 to 50. Tone 4 is from 50 to 82. Then from 82 we'll go up to 98, which will be your tone 5. Okay, so now we go back to that and then go to recovery speed and iron bias. So for general searching, use number 5. That is probably the best for sussing out a field until you know what's under the ground, and then you can change the recovery speed to go a bit slower so you can get deeper, or to go faster. You won't get as deep, but you'll get faster to get in amongst the iron, etc, etc. So a recovery speed of 5 to start with, and then higher or lower recovery speeds to suit the field. The higher you go with recovery speed, the shorter the signals will go. So with a recovery speed of 5, it'll go beep, beep, beep. You got that beep? Look, it's about that long, the signal. If you had a really fast recovery speed, it'd go beep, 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 beep. So I'd never probably use it at 8. It'll be just a little bit too fast. So I'll probably go up 6, maybe 7 on the extreme mega iron infested areas. But like I said, generally at 5. If you go all the way down to 1, you're going to get quite a bit more depth, and also your signals go whoop, whoop. But if you think, if you've got it wrong and you're in quite a busy area and you've got a low recovery speed, and the signals close to each other, that signal and that signal, instead of going, say if you had it at 5 or 6 because of the amount of targets, instead of it, so it would go beep, beep, you'd hear the 2. If you've got a real slow recovery speed, that one will go beep, while that one's trying to come in, it would all sound muddled up. So you've got to sort of balance the recovery speed to suit the field you're on. You could just use 5 and you would do fine on most of the fields out there. But obviously the more you learn the machine, the more you can adjust it to suit the field, and the more fines you're going to get. So yeah, start with a recovery speed of 5 and adjust to suit the ground you're on. If there's a lot of trash, a lot of iron, you can speed it up. If it's very quiet, you can slow it down. Keep your finger on the cog. That takes you into FE, which is your iron bias. I use an iron bias of 1. You are going to let a bit of iron in with that, but I find number 1 is, you could have it at 0 and you've got a lot more chance of getting, not a lot more chance over 1, but with an iron bias of 0, you're going to get, if there's a big massive iron there and a little target there, there's more chance of seeing that little target. But the big massive iron is going to start sounding better and better and better the lower you go on the FE. So you're going to end up digging more iron with a FE of 0, but you've got a chance of digging a little bit more of non-ferrous. So it's a trade-off. You're always trading stuff off. With 1, you get a little bit less iron, and there's a chance of missing a couple of targets if you're unlucky. But I find that is a nice sweet spot for me. Some people use 4, especially when they're just getting used to the machine, because if you just bought the machine, if you've never had the 800, you've gone straight to the 900, you've got your FE down too low, and you're digging iron all day, you're going to be like, what the hell have I bought here? So it's a learning curve, and maybe start with 4 and bring your settings down, bring your iron bias down to 1 or 0. But I'd say once you've sussed it out, get down to 1. So that is the main settings. Obviously, sensitivity, I've got it right down in the house because I don't want it going mental. But I would run that about 23, You always run your sensitivity as high as you can without it falsing too much. If it's falsing too much, you're going to miss quite a few targets because you can't tell whether it's a true signal or if it's a false from the EMI or from the environment around you. So yeah, always run your sensitivity as high as you can, as long as it's not falsing too much. So a quick recap then of the settings. This is my settings for the Equinox 900. Taking it out on an extreme permission tomorrow for 2 days, got a weekend away, and I think these settings are going to absolutely thrive on there. Obviously I'll let you know in the next video, but these are going to be very similar to my Equinox 800 settings, Sid's ancient settings, so give them a try. I'd probably have the horseshoe off depending on the field, and I'd have a tone break and a discretion of 1, but we start from left to right. Noise cancel to suit the field you're on. Use at 0 unless the ground's playing up, and you can do your ground balance to suit. Volume 25 on every setting. Tone 1, tone 2, tone 3, tone 4, tone 5. The reason I have tone 1 set at 25 so high is because we turn the horseshoe off. When the horseshoe's off, this is what a friend sort of spoke to me. He said, try this, Sid, because if you've got your iron low and then you're trying to get these small targets which are close to iron, the processor for it to go from low to high takes a little bit of time with it turned off. So by having the volume up high on the iron tones to get the small targets, it should amplify it a lot quicker, and the small targets should bang through a lot easier. Okay, so volume 25 on all segments, and also on your machine 25. Threshold to suit you, I'll have it at 4 and a pitch of 1. Target tones 5 with, and the tone pitches, so tone 1 pitch of 1, tone 2 pitch of 10, tone 3 pitch of 17, tone 4 pitch of 21, tone 5 pitch of 25. Go to accept and reject. In accept and reject, I've gone from -19 to 1 eliminated. That's just eliminating the coke. And then from 2 all the way around to 98 is a digger. Expert settings. So again, match that up with the discrimination pattern. We've got a tone break of tone 1 at 1, and 1 to 16 is tone 2. From 16 up to 50 is tone 3. From 50 to 82 is tone 4. And from 82 to 98 is tone 5. Iron bias 1 and a recovery speed of 5. Obviously adjust the iron bias and the recovery speed and the sensitivity to suit the field that you're on. Well, that's it everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to get subscribed, and everyone else, don't forget, drop me a like, drop me a comment, and share the video if you can. If you've got friends that have just bought the 900 and they need some settings, or they want to try some settings out, send these settings over and get them to give it a try, and I'd love to have a bit of feedback how you get on in the field. But I know for a fact that these settings will kick ass. Let me know. Enjoy, folks. See you soon. Bye-bye.